Today with me, I have the team behind The Godfather of Harlem, creator, showrunner, and executive producer, Chris Brancato, and star and executive producer, Forrest Whitaker. But before we jump into the conversation, let's throw it to a clip.
In the War of 57, he ordered the murder of my son from his prison cell. I think he killed my capo, Dania Prayer, just a couple of weeks ago. My family wants the contract for his death. It is my right.
Manano, I don't kill kids. You bought into this line of bullshit from a guy who walks around the street in a bathrobe? Come on.
You killed Zambrano, and then you lied to me about it. 30 years! You lied to me! 30 years of friendship between us, and you betrayed me. Tell me you didn't lie!
I admit it. I killed Richie Zambrano. In self-defense, against the orders of the family to not touch me. He sent a hitter to kill me with my family. So I killed him. Which is the same thing that any one of you guys would have done.
You killed a made man. That's end of story.
Can I finish with my say? 1963's been a tough year for me. I think it's been even worse for you guys. A couple of weeks ago, Adam Clayton Powell named many of you in the Bowery Lane investigation. Bowery Lane has kept our illegal profits hidden for years. And over the last number of years, I've been watching every single transaction of Bowery Lane. The same kind of transactions that sent Al Capone to jail for life. I am the mob's worst nightmare. I'm a Negro with a mind for numbers. And I got records in a safe deposit box, which will stay there. Unless you try to harm me, you try to harm my family, you try to harm my men. Those Bowery Lane records will go back to Adam Clayton Powell's subcommittee on organized crime.
Are you telling me that you're gonna snitch? You're gonna snitch?
You see the news. See why the US and Russia don't blow each other sky high? It's because they got nuclear weapons pointed at each other, just like we do. Mutually assured destruction.
Wow. So, Forrest, from that clip, it looks like Bumpy has really changed the game.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're coming at the end of the season there, and you get to see him fighting against the five families for his place and his strength. I think we start off the show earlier, him coming out of prison, trying to reclaim all of the things that he had before as a crime boss that was running Harlem during that time. So, but what we're seeing is the end of when the families are against him because of something that he did.
So for you, Chris and Forrest, what was it about Bumpy's story that made you want to tackle it as a series?
I had developed a movie called Hoodlum with Paul Eckstein, who's the co-creator of Godfather of Harlem. And that was the beginning of his criminal career in the 1930s. When Forrest and some producers, Marquand Smith and Jim Atchison, approached us about doing it as a series, the idea now that Bumpy had been friends with Malcolm made us think about this collision of civil rights and the criminal underworld. That Malcolm's theory that when the gangster became politicized, America would tremble was something we wanted to explore. And we developed it with Forrest for well over a year, and made the first season. We're hard at work on the second season right now.
It was exciting to me to get a chance to play around with this concept of criminality and civil rights movement, and get to see what we got to see about people trying to achieve the American dream by any means that they could during a time when they were being oppressed and things are difficult. And we got a chance to explore a lot of those issues that are going on today. We also got a chance to explore the issues of like the opioid crisis, of like police brutality, of these things that we get a chance to go through another prism and get to maybe understand them even more so by looking at them from a past perspective.
And then talk about what goes into building this world, 1960s Harlem. How do you go about doing so and making sure it stays authentic to its time?
There was a huge amount of research, reading books about the period, interviewing people in Harlem, Bumpy's associates, Italian gangsters. We did a lot of interview research and then a lot of book learning. Obviously, Adam Clayton Powell and Malcolm X left a lot on the record about what they said. And our job is to kind of create this world that's, partially historical and partially fictional, that merges these characters at that particular place in time as a means to examine contemporary issues and things that we find entertaining and interesting.
And issues that are also relevant to this time.
I think we were looking at talking to individuals who would understand what was going on during that period from an emotional point of view as well, and to try to translate that into like what we're dealing with now emotionally with the problems that we're having in the country and in the nation. And I think what was really exciting too was being able to look at the sort of things that were happening today in society through this show, but through that prism, to be able to look at the issue of the opiate problems, the issue of police brutality, the issue of sexism, all these different things that were going on, and to be able to look at them through the eyes of this show, and to recognize that those problems and issues are still going on today as they were yesterday. And I think that's kind of what really excited me about doing the show in the first place, was being able to move into those areas. And that's why we approached them in the first place, to try to create something that would be unique and special.
So let's talk about season 2. I know you're not going to give up all of it, but season 1 covered the first year of Bumpy's life after he got out of prison. What can we expect from season 2?
I don't know how much you want to give up on season 2, but you can definitely give up with the continued struggle. We meet him with the sanctions against him, Bumpy Johnson, that are out to kill him from the end of episode 10 of our first season, and he's trying to get out from underneath those oppressors, trying to get them to let go of those sanctions, and then move into a more lucrative position by formulating his own network of power.
I'll just say that season 2 is a momentous time in our nation's history. LBJ is trying to pass the Civil Rights Act. Harlem is a seething cauldron about to explode in the face of police brutality. Bumpy Johnson is trying to manhandle the French Connection dope, which is flooding Harlem, and he needs a piece of to control the streets of Harlem. And the mob is in disarray. Joe Bonanno wants to take over. All of this is based on historical truth, and Bumpy and his family and his friends are at the center of it. So it's going to be explosive.
Chris and Forrest, thank you so much for being here with us today. And I cannot wait to see what you guys have in store for next season.
Thank you for having us.